Whether you're staying at home for church or if you're going live face to face, no matter what you do, you are still the body of Christ. So for the next 3 weeks, we're going to talk about what it means to be the body of Christ. Whenever we talk about the body of Christ, what's our body language? Whenever my dad went to Maine one time with his wife, they went to a restaurant and they dressed up like normal Eastern New Mexican West Texans can dress up for a date. You know what it looks like. And so he walked into this restaurant and the woman looked him up and down, saw his denim and his boots, and she said, "Where's your horse?" My dad looked down and he realized, oh, I look like a cowboy. But he was still stunned by it, so he was like, what is going on? And she said again, "Where's your horse?" This time in a way that made it pretty obvious that they weren't welcome there because of the way that they were dressed. It's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling to be looked up and down and thought of as less than, or thought of as someone that doesn't belong somewhere. If you've ever had this feeling, you know it in the pit of your stomach. That hurts. This is the feeling that goes into whenever Jesus is talking about what it means to be the body of Christ when you love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus was talking to a bunch of people of the law and scribes and Pharisees one time, and he tells this amazing story, the story of the Good Samaritan. They start out by asking him, "What is the greatest law?" And Jesus answers first from the Shema and then from Leviticus. He says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength." And then the second one is like it, "Love your neighbor as yourself." And so a smart guy in the crowd asks Jesus, "Who is my neighbor? Who is my neighbor?" And Jesus launches into this story. A man is walking on the road. A Jewish man is walking on the road. He gets beat up and left for dead. All of his things are gone. All of his possessions are gone. He's naked. He's broken. He's on the side of the road. And these people who are supposed to be our heroes walk by. A Levite, a person trained in the law, walks by and just keeps walking. Doesn't help the man. A Pharisee comes down the road, sees the broken man in the ditch, and keeps on walking. But then a Samaritan comes by. And you have to see the weight of that entrance into the story in the eyes of the people who are listening. These Pharisees, these people of the law, these Jewish people in the crowd have always seen the Pharisees as their enemy, as less than them, as people who do not worship properly. The Samaritan walks by, but he picks the man up, heals his wounds, takes him to the nearest inn, and lets him stay there as long as he needs to, promising to pay the entire bill. And Jesus looks at the crowd and he asks the difficult question, who was the man's neighbor? And for us, it's obvious. It's the Samaritan. But for them, to get that word out of their mouths was painful. They had to say the Samaritan was the neighbor. And so to love your neighbor as yourself, to Jesus, became something greater to everyone there. Samaritans were the enemy. They were those that they did not look at as worthy. They had conflict. They were the enemy. But yet Jesus calls them their neighbor. So for us, what does that look like? What does it look like to love our neighbor? Well, as the body of Christ, to love our neighbor means to love our enemy. those people who we are not expected to love. For a lot of you guys, it's someone who is spreading rumors about you, the girl who's talking behind your back, or the boy that's making you feel foolish on a daily basis, or someone who's harming you in some way. Someone who's saying, "Where's your horse?" to the cowboy that walks into the restaurant. On a bigger scale, it's for some of us the nearest Democrat, or the nearest Republican, or the nearest Muslim. The nearest person that holds different convictions than we do about point A or point B, those people who seem our enemies, those are our neighbors. The capacity of the body of Christ is to be able to be broken by our enemies, yet still love. The ability of the body of Christ is to love no matter who it is. Your ability, you, the body of Christ, can love your neighbor.
Stand here.
No, who there?
Oh, sorry,
Who there?
Oh my goodness.
What? You put the jam? Oh.
Okay.